We most sincerely welcome you to today's episode of Tax Matters. I am Olumuyiwa Matuloko. How's your week been and how is business going? The Federal Inland Revenue Service FIRS is in the spotlight again, doing what it knows best how to do and talking about it where and when necessary. This happened the other week in Lagos and in Port-Harcourt. The Lagos end was courtesy of a town hall meeting conveyed by the publishers of Business HALLMARK newspapers. It was tagged Nigeria's Road to Transformation, conveyed to discuss the developmental challenges of Nigeria. The host, or anchor if you like, was Mr. Steve Sako of the popular Art Talk program on BBC. The team of panelists included the acting executive chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, Alhaji Kabiru Mashi, who was joined by the governors of Anambra State, Akwa Ibom, and Delta. Also in attendance was the MD-CEO of the Bank of Industry and the MD-CEO of the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC. Alhaji Kabiru Mashi was ably represented by Mr. Emmanuel Obeta, the Director of the Corporate Communications and Liaison Department at the Federal Inland Revenue Service. At the receiving end of Steve Sako's Art Talk-like questions, Mr. Obeta gave a good account of the activities of the Federal Inland Revenue Service.
I'll give you a quick illustration that will answer the question. In 2004, the total collection in terms of taxation in Nigeria was about 1.9 trillion per annum. Today, we are talking in the neighborhood of 4 trillion in terms of tax collection. So that tells you in a nutshell the mileage, the progress, as well as the advance that has been made from the point in time to where we are presently. Okay, so in terms of structures or the budget being better, in terms of the tax being, the country being better structured to collect taxes for the country, I think that shows you, clearly where we are in the scope of things. Starting in 2004, when the transformation exercise and preceding that, a whole lot of things have happened. But in 2004, when there was a focused transformation in the Federal Inland Revenue Service, there was a clear direction. There was a clear objective. And one of the major objectives in the organization was to reduce the level of dependence of the Nigerian economy on oil. We felt that oil is not a sustainable, is a depreciating asset over the years, and that you cannot really effectively build the economy of a country based on such depreciating asset. Basically, from different perspectives, people do not have a commitment in the economy because they do not feel they are contributing towards the economy. But when people begin to contribute towards the development of their own economy to their country, they will have a stake. They'll feel they have a stake, and they will hold the government and everybody accountable for what is happening.
In response to Steve Sako's question as to whether the Nigerian state would have been wealthier today if it had taken advantage of the opportunities that had come its way, Mr. Obeta had this to say.
To say that Nigeria has failed to take advantage of the resources it has may not be completely correct. Okay? There have been challenges, like the governor of Delta State has said. There have been gaps. There are peculiarities in different economies that are handled differently, but we have also moved forward as a country, and then progressively, with the crop of administrators and then the people in government that we have, things can only get better. I think that would be my response.
Being put on the spot there, the day before, on Thursday the 13th of September, 2 micro and small tax offices of the Federal Inland Revenue Service in Port-Harcourt, Rivers State, collaborated to hold a stakeholders meeting on withholding tax administration, especially with regard to utilization of withholding tax credit notes. We know that the next question, or the question agitating your mind right now, is which one again is MSTO? What we used to have were integrated tax offices and light tax offices. But following the taxpayer segmentation that was carried out recently, we now have micro and small tax offices, medium tax offices, and large tax office. As you presently hear from the two hosting tax controllers.
My name is Cuthbert Nwiwu. I'm the tax controller for Port-Harcourt Micro and Small Tax Office.
If my memory serves me right, that used to be called an integrated tax office. Now it says micro and small tax office. What has changed? Who do you serve now?
Yeah. You know, this concept of integrated tax office, almost all offices are integrated because all the whole services, all the whole tax products are sold in one office. That was the concept of integrated tax office. Whether it is large tax, medium tax, or micro and small tax, they're all integrated tax office. But before, they refer us mainly, in fact, the small offices, as we have to today, took the name. In fact, their name, the ITO overshadowed their name because that time they are supposed to be small and medium tax office because they were handling then all the cases with turnover below 1 billion. Okay. Then we have two categories of tax offices, those handling below 1 billion and those handling above 1 billion. Then, but now, the medium and small tax office has been split into two. Then they created medium tax office. Okay. So we now have, we are left with micro and medium. So the large tax office handles, as usual, cases above 1 billion. The medium tax office handles cases below 1 billion but above 200 million, while the micro and small tax office, where we are now, handle cases below 200 million.
The former integrated tax office, which is now micro and small, is the one that is now doing the nitty-gritty of tax effects. Is the one that is in charge of registration now, registering companies that are fresh, virgin companies that are newly incorporated. So it is in this micro and small that you have cases, the newly registered cases we call the NCR cases. Okay. And we will grow them, make sure that they do the real tax due diligence. When they get over and above our threshold, we'll now transfer. So in a nutshell, we are dealing with the raw taxpayers that have problem of compliance, have problem of not truly following the processes or not. So we need to work very hard to make sure that we bring more of these companies to the tax net so that we widen the tax base, because when they grow beyond the threshold, we'll release them to the medium tax offices. So that is what we basically do now. Yes.
So how many MSTs do you have in Port-Harcourt? How many medium tax office? How many light tax office?
As it is now, we have all the offices. We have the large tax office in Stadium Road. Then we have two micro and small offices in Port-Harcourt. One is the Port-Harcourt micro and small tax office, which is in Transamadi, while the other is the Rumukurushi micro and small, which is located in the Rumukurushi junction, which I head.
Okay. Where is the location of the medium tax office?
The medium tax office is located also along Stadium Road, just close to the large tax office.
How well are you doing now that you are dealing with those from 0 to 199 million?
You see, we are basically dealing with people that don't have records, portfolio companies. Some of them, when they incorporate, they use their bedroom as their registered address. They don't, when someone has used his bedroom as his operational base, if we're sure that he has no records, he's sure he has no staff. So that's the problem we are faced at this level. We deal basically large amount of people that don't have records. So it's a question of catch me if you can. So they will seek me, they will now hide, we will now continue to look for them. So that's the problem. Coupled with the fact that Nigerians don't like paying tax. And that becomes more compounded, but we will overcome.
Do you have business to do with the Federal Inland Revenue Service in Rivers State? Now you know where to go. We'll go for a short commercial break. When we come back, we'll bring you something different.
Chineke me, you don't increase my salary money. No be mistake. Oga accountant do so. Papa Junior, you never hear of Peter. Now the new MD be that. Talk now.
Peter, na Personal Income Tax Amendment Act, where Mr. President just signed for law to better the life of them people. So them to go get more money to enjoy with them family. You see this amended act, they don't reduce the tax with the on top your salary money. They can't increase consolidated allowance money where we go to get every month. And you know, say, now the president will listen if you do better thing for the people.
Ah, Mr. President, you do well, oh. The blessing you they think of me when you they sign this bitter. Now I feel do boku things this year. I feel rent shop for Mama Junior, buy textbook for Junior, send money go village, make the thing begin build my house.
So you say I'm the landlord?
Of course. Oh, you just say I can't country for you. Peter, Peter, hey, Peter.
JTB, creating a tax-friendly environment.
Welcome back. The program is still Tax Matters. Monday, October 1 is Nigeria's 52nd independence anniversary. We're celebrating Nigeria's birthday, so to say. Now, the youths are the future of any nation. So, if we are talking about survival, we must talk about the youths. We must put the youths in the center of the picture. So, on this episode and the next one, we'll be celebrating Nigeria's children. The debates that we are about to share with you were recorded way back in May 2012 on the occasion of the 2012 Children's Day. We did mark Children's Day on Tax Matters at that time with other activities, youth-related activities. But these debates had to wait, even though they were held on the occasion of Children's Day. For what it was all about and who were there, let's listen to Mr. Frank Obaro, the desk officer for the Students' Tax Advocacy Initiative at the Federal Inland Revenue Service.
I welcome you to the 2012 Children's Day celebration. As usual, we have our 4 FCT schools here: Federal Government Boys College, Kingsville College, Katrina International School, and Best Schools. You all are looking very radiant this morning. A round of applause for yourselves.
Mrs. Robo Oduwole is the Chief Operating Officer of the Students' Tax Advocacy Initiative, an initiative of the Federal Revenue Service, and the coordinator of the Students Advocate for Tax Clubs all over the country.
First and foremost, I'd like to especially thank our SS3 students who are here today. One of the things that we do every year is to appreciate and acknowledge the hard work of our SAT members. SAT members over the past 3 years have been engaged in advocating for tax in their various schools and in the larger society, going out on rallies and all that. I really want to thank you guys so much for the great work you've been doing. I really appreciate all that you guys have been doing. And I want to say that even as you move on to the tertiary institutions, you must continue to build a better Nigeria. You must be committed to building a better Nigeria through tax advocacy. We thank you for the work done the last 1 year. And for those of us who are the SAT members, we wish you a very fruitful club year, and we want you to continue from where they stopped, continue to advocate for tax, and do even better than they did.
With that, the first round of the contest began. The topic: personal income tax can generate more revenue than value-added tax for Nigeria.
So let's look at it today. If everybody works and then they have to go and buy stuff to pay tax to the government, how do you actualize money from that? But meanwhile, when the government gets the money directly from the payment of salaries, at least the person working gets money in their account. Let's talk about saving stuff. Value-added tax allows people to save, but a rich and a poor man can be compared and say their saving power will be different. Like, for example, A rich man will have a pay list, a payroll, buy whatever he wants at any time just by ordering it. But a poor man will have to go to the market to get everything he needs, therefore paying his VAT on every single thing he purchases. Okay, let's move forward to the administration of VAT and personal income tax. To administrate VAT, you have to go to the shop, come back with deposit slips of different nature, just to agree that this person bought this bought that. But with personal income tax, directly from the place of work, the money is extracted and the person gets what he wants, and the government gets their own share and enable them to use the money wisely.
And I am here opposing the motion which says personal income tax can generate more money than value-added tax in Nigeria. My points are: 1, personal income tax has actually created a very serious problem here in Nigeria, which is tax touting. I don't know if you've heard of it, but allow me to explain. This is a situation whereby people who are uneducated and illiterate are sent to go and enforce the collection of taxes. And this has actually made it possible for a lot of people to evade paying taxes. The FIRS has actually been advised that they should educate, enlighten, and recruit people who are professionals in this field, who will take care of this job. But this means paying salaries. And you know what paying salaries mean? When they are professional, it is expensive. And the money gotten will be from the tax gotten. And then when money is collected from tax, you know there is loss, a lot of loss, and not gain. And this little money gotten from personal income payers are actually, can actually not be able to cover the whole country as a whole. But VAT, on the other hand, can be paid at your doorsteps. You go out to buy very little things, like razor, pencil, whatever it is, and you pay VAT without even thinking of it. Another point is this: the personal income tax has actually created another problem. As my co-debaters said, I won't call them opponents, they said it is progressive and helps in the redistribution of income, since it is based on the ability to pay. But this has actually created a problem, as I said. It has created laziness amongst the working force of our country, because they found out that the more they work, the more they earn. And when they earn, the higher the tax they pay. And this they do not enjoy, because they wouldn't want to work and give their money to somebody else. But when they pay VAT, they don't even think of it. They just pay because they have to consume goods.
Before I proceed, let me tell you what happened to the Canadian Republic in 2003. Their production sector fell, their production sector crumbled, and this is because of the implementation of VAT. Personal income tax collected from individual income. The person he gets paid, the income is deducted, but he don't know if he has paid tax. But when you say you pay on every doorstep, everything you buy a pencil, you pay tax. You pay VAT. You buy anything, any service, you pay VAT. Now, do you think that the implementation of this will be easy? The implementation of VAT will cost money, and this will in turn reduce money from the government. But personal income tax getting from the income a person earns, he is being paid and the tax is being removed without him even knowing it. But when you buy a pencil and they remove VAT, you will surely notice it.
My points are as follows. Like my opponent earlier said, personal income tax is the tax whereby it is collected from the salary or the income of a person. But if we look at it, we find out that it's only the government workers that the personal income taxes are being collected from. Because if you look at private organizations and private companies, they do not pay personal income tax. And this is actually bad for the nation, because we find out that the more people work in the private enterprises than in the public enterprises. And this leads to tax evasion, because many people run away from tax because of personal income tax. Because Nigerians are too many, so it's not possible for us to know the amount of money that a single individual earns every month or every year to determine the personal income tax. But through value-added tax, every individual needs to consume. That's where I correct my opponent, because every individual, every Nigerian needs to survive and therefore needs to consume. So you definitely have to pay value-added tax. and this therefore generates more revenue for the government than personal income tax. Secondly, we look at the aspect of equitable. We find out that through value-added tax, the taxation here is equitable than in personal income tax. Let me explain. In personal income tax, we find out that there are the high class and the low class. And in the high class, people are able to pay like 20% of their income, but those that are in the low class pay like 5%. And how will you be able to determine this? But in value-added tax, we find out that everybody pays a single amount, this equal amount of money throughout. So therefore, there is no distinguishable event whereby you say this is the poor and this is the old. Then lastly, if we find out the aspect of savings, we find out that personal income tax makes it hard for people to save compared to value-added tax. In personal income tax, people that earn low, by the time they give the tax through the personal income, they have little to save, and this does not encourage them to do more. But if you look at the value-added tax, whereby no money is collected, as they buy their goods and services, they are happy that yes, I'm able to buy something, but unknowingly, they don't know that they've paid their value-added tax. And this is better for the country than for the situation whereby people are not able to save or invest because they are paying personal income tax. With these points of mine, I hope I'll be able to persuade you that value-added tax is better for the country than personal income tax.
And how can we say in a country like ours that value-added tax can generate more revenue, even while in the US, value-added tax accounts for only 3.3% of its income, while personal income tax accounts for 60% of their income. Now we all know that the country deeply depends on personal income tax, which is because it generates more income and it's better for us. Now we can also say that VAT is paid mainly by people in the urban centers, and we can also say that for Nigeria to become one of the most developed countries in this world, we must imbibe fully by the implementation of personal income tax.
But at the process whereby an individual would walk up to a shop or to a selling point and buy something not knowing that your tax is being deducted, that's value-added tax.
My opponent say that you pay tax unknowingly. But tell me, if you spend money unknowingly, how would you feel? If you spend money without knowing what you spend it on, how would you feel? But now, government has been able to sensitize the public that in every goods you buy, it has value-added tax, you see it on it. Even when you recharge card and you scratch card, you see value-added tax written boldly on it. So I want to talk about haggling. If the value-added tax is encouraged, haggling will be discouraged because the price will be universal. And I can't price or haggle a goods to reduce the price to suit my own pocket. But if I earn less, I can haggle and price a particular amount of goods to make the amount I will earn for that goods. Because of the price of goods in the market, I will refuse to buy certain goods that I will need or like to have. Like for example, our handsets. Because of value-added tax, I'll go for the smaller ones. Therefore, discouraging the technology that the producers have in store.
My opponents, my co-debaters, I would like to call you, just mentioned a lot of things, and I would want to counter them. Would you stop eating food? Would you stop entering cars or paying for taxis or entering planes? Would you stop doing things or stop living just because you have to pay little amount, 5% of everything you buy? Not at all. The third speaker said that personal income tax payers are actually 60% of the country's population, while VAT is 40%. I will want you to do your calculations again, because over 150 million people here in Nigeria pay VAT. That is 5% of everything you buy. But the people who pay personal income tax are actually very few, roughly at about 5 million people. Do you think the money realized from tax paid by these people will take care of the country? Not at all.
That was a contest between the Federal Government Boys College Abuja and Kingsville College, also of Abuja. At the end of it, the judges gave their verdict.
The result from us for the first round, the group paid out FGBC versus Kingsville. We have a total point of 600 that each school can attain. FGBC polled 414, while Kingsville polled 486.
Congratulations to Kingsville College. Next episode, we will bring you the second round debate of the preliminary rounds. We'll also bring you highlights of the third place match and the grand finale. By the way, where do you stand on the topic of that debate? Personal income tax or value-added tax? Which one can generate more revenue for Nigeria? Let's hear your view. You can do this by liking our Facebook page or following us on Twitter. You can also send email to us or send text message. Of course, for other matters, you can always call us or send text message or send emails. If you want to watch this episode again or indeed any past episode of the program, simply visit our YouTube channel on your mobile device or on the web. I want to thank you most sincerely for watching.